Hi guys, welcome to Triple Act Hub. Your boy is here, Ismaila. So today we want to look at another example of quadratic equation using completing the square method. In our previous class, we look at how we can use completing the square method to solve a quadratic equation. But this one is a little bit different because the rules we used in the previous one is we want to make use of and ensure that we will use the rule so that you'll be able to get how to use the completing the square method. So let's look at this example here. We are asked to solve 2x squared minus 11x minus 6 equals to 0. So let's see what we have. Let's see what we have here. We are having 2x squared minus 11x minus 6 equal to 0. Now in this looking at this equation here now, if you have watched our the last class we did, I told you that there's a rule in which for you to be able to use completing the square, you must first of all take that rule into consideration. And the first thing is if you're having an equation like this and you want to use completing the square method, you first of all look at the coefficient of x squared. Look at the coefficient of x squared. If it is 1, you can go ahead to the next step of you have to follow. But if the coefficient is not 1, if it is 2, 3, 4 and so on, then which means you can't go ahead with the completing the square method. You must ensure that you must ensure that the coefficient of x is 1. That's the first thing you have to take care of. Ensure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. Are we together? Okay. So with me, I'm taking a look at this. The coefficient of x squared is 2, which means we can't continue with the completing the square until we take care of these 2. So how do we take care of the 2? Is to ensure that we make this to be 1. And how is that possible? First of all, divide this by everything you have here. All the values you have here, divide everything by 2. So which means we divide this by 2, divide this by 2 also, divide this by 2, divide this by 2. So if we divide this 2 and 2 here, so we are left with x squared minus, here will be 11 over 2x, then minus, if we divide this will be giving us minus 3 equals to 0 and 2 is 0 divided by 2 is 0. So since we've simplified this and the coefficient of x squared is 1, then we can now go to the next step. We can go to step 2. Are you with me? We can go to step 2. And what does the step 2 say? Step 2 says that the constant. Looking at this, you're having an x here, you're having an x here also, and taking a look at this one doesn't have x. It means the constant, take it to the right hand side of the equal sign. So let's separate the constant and the constant and the one with variable. Let's separate them all together. So which means we are moving this minus 3, we are moving it to the right hand side of the equation, and we are going to be left with x squared minus 11 over 2x equal to 0 plus 3. So here we'll now be having x squared minus 11 over 2x equal to 3. Okay. So step 2, we are clear with it. Step 2, we are done with step 2. So since we are done with step 2, then we move to step 3. Now the step 3 is now that the first thing we have to take in step 3 is we multiply the coefficient of x by 1 over 2, sorry, by 1 over 2, multiply the coefficient of x by what? By 1 over 2, then square the result. So the result, when you multiply this by, when you multiply the coefficient of x by 1 over 2, the result you get, square it, then and add the final result to both sides. Okay, so this one that we have here, that's where we will start from. All these instructions here is what we take into consideration for this equation here. So we are having x squared minus 11 over 2x equals to 3. So the first thing we have to take is what they said, we should multiply the coefficient of x by 1 over 2. So taking a look at it, what's the coefficient of x? The coefficient of x is what? 11 over 2. So which means we have what? 11 over 2. So multiply by what? Multiply by what with what? 1 over 2. So times 1 over 2. That will give us what? 11 times 1, 11 over 2 times 2. That will give us 4. So we've multiplied the coefficient of x by 1 over 2. Now the next thing is what? Square the result. Square the result. So the result we have here, we square it. We square it. So after squaring it, we can let's expand this bracket. 11 square will be giving us what? 121 over 4 squared, which is what? 16. Okay, so square the result and add the final result to both sides. Add the final result to both sides. So after we've squared the final result we have is what? Is 121 over 16. That's the final result. So that's what we'll now bring it into what? Into this equation. So which means we have this equation to be what? X squared minus 11 over 2x. Then the final result, they said we should add it to what? To both sides. So the final result there. Okay, and there's one thing we should also not forget. Yes. Let's go back a little bit. Now the coefficient of x is what? Minus 11 over 2. Don't forget, the signs are very, very important. If you should make a mistake with the signs, you won't get your answer. So the coefficient of x in this equation is minus 11 over 2. So we have to put the minus here. So which means minus 11. So this will be giving us minus 11 over 4 all squared. So when you expand it, you still arrive at this. Okay. So in this case now we are having it as to be what? To be plus 121 over 16. It's equal to, what do we have here? 3 we had plus 121 over 16. Okay. All right. So since this is what we have here, if we now do what we call binomial expansion, if you take advantage of what binomial expansion here, which we will now be having, which means we want to simplify this, and by simplifying it, we want to make use of binomial expansion. We will now be having this to be what? X minus 11, what we have there, this, what we have here, 11 over what? 11 over 4 all squared equal to, now here let's simplify this is 3 over 1. Let's look for the LCM of 1 and 16. LCM of 1 and 16 is what? 16. So how many times will 1 occur in 16? Is 16. 16 times 3, that will give us what? 48. Plus how many 16 will you find in 16? That's 1. 1 times this will give us what? 121. Are we together? So let's add this up. If we add this up, we'll be having this to be what? 48 plus 121. That will be giving us what? 169 over 16. Okay. So which means this one will now be having x minus 11 over 4 all squared equal to what? 169 over 16. Okay. So since this is what we have as our what? As our answer here, so we will now have here so what we will do now is what? Is to take this square, we take it away and turn it to a what? To a square root, which means this square squaring both sides of the what? Of the equation. So if we square both sides, taking square root of what? Of that's square root of what? Of both sides of this what? Of this equation. So we'll be having square root of what? X minus 11 over 4 squared equals to plus or minus square root of what? 169 over 16. So this square root will cancel out what? The square. So here we are now having x minus 11 over 4 equal to what? Plus or minus square root of what? 169 over 16. Okay. So if you have followed up to this level, so I hope you are enjoying it. So since we are up to this level, then the next thing is for us to what? To get the square root of this. So we are having x minus 11 over 4 equal to what? Plus or minus square root of 169. Square root of 169 should be giving us 13. 13 over square root of 16 is what? Is 4. So with this, we are going to be having, since we are having this, we are looking for x. So let's take this to the other side. So this will go to the other side, which will now be having x. This is equal to, this is minus 11 over 4. So it will, when it gets here, it will be plus 11 over 4 plus or minus 13 over what? Over 4. Okay. So since for a quadratic equation we are supposed to be having two roots, so and this plus or minus is a what? Is a testy is a justification of what? Of what we've done so far, of what we have done so far in this lesson. So here we will now break it into two, which will now be what? X equal to 11 over 4 plus 13 over 4, or 11 over 4 minus 13 over 4. Okay, so this is what we break has been broken out of it. So here we will now be having what? X equal to, since both of them are of the same denominator, so we are we will add the numerator. 11 plus 13, that's what? 24 over what? 4. So this will be giving us x equal to 4 in 24 will be giving us 6, or 11 minus 13, that will be giving us what? Minus 2 over 4, since both of them are having the same denominator. So when you break this down, you'll be having what? It will be what? Minus 1 over 2. So which means this x is equal to 6, or x equals to what? Minus 1 over 2. So these are the roots of this equation that we have here. So if you've followed us up to the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, also like our page, and the notification button is very, very important. Don't forget to put it on, so that subsequent videos you'll be notified when they are uploaded. Also, don't forget to write your to ask your question in the comments, in the comment box. Ask your questions anywhere you feel you are not you didn't get it. Just contact me. The comment section is there, so put your question in the comment section, and have a wonderful day ahead. Till next time, bye bye.